Just gather round and I'll elucidate about what goes on outside when it gets late. It's just me in my garage working on a piece of home decor. That's all it is. What's going on, everybody? I'm David, and this is our family small shop, Mickey and Mandy, and I hope you enjoyed the Legend of Sleepy Hollow reference at the beginning of this video. But in case you haven't been able to tell, we are Disney adults that create custom bags, screen printed shirts, and handmade home decor inspired by everybody's favorite magical theme parks. And I would like to welcome you all back to another special behind the scenes look at how we make some of the awesome handmade products on our family small shop, Mickey and Mandy. More specifically, this week I'm going to be showing you how we make the Sleepy Hollow Inn sign, that piece of home decor that we have on our shop. Kind of a fun throwback twist at the very beginning of the video here. I'm going to be telling you how we made the sign, where the sign came from, the sources of inspiration, and then I'm going to take you through the step-by-step process on how we make a piece of home decor like this. Should be a bunch of fun. Let's pull on that yellow strap and not waste any time and get going. Okay, so while the video is playing, I'm going to take a little bit of time to tell you about where this sign came from. What was the source of inspiration for our Sleepy Hollow Inn piece of home decor? Because all of our signs, all of our home decor, they come from a very specific place in the Disney parks, and this one is no different. The literal source of inspiration is the quick service restaurant in the Magic Kingdom of the same name. You might recognize Sleepy Hollow Inn at the Magic Kingdom for their very famous Nutella waffle treats. You used to be able to get them with Nutella and strawberries and bananas. You should be able to get them with chicken tenders on top of them, kind of like a sweet and savory, very delicious treat first thing in the morning at the Magic Kingdom. But the other piece of inspiration that this sign comes from is just my general love and appreciation for the Legend of Sleepy Hollow as a story, as a piece of American literature, and as a Disney short, and as a pretty solid, what was that, late 90s, early 2000s Tim Burton film? I don't remember. But the Tim Burton movie with Johnny Depp, also a solid movie. I love the Legend of Sleepy Hollow. I think the Headless Horseman is one of the most underrated Disney villains of all time. So I kind of made this sign to kind of get some Sleepy Hollow representation on our small shop. But I also did this to kind of get some subtle Halloween inspired home decor on our small shop. But what's nice about this is that this is available all year round. You don't have to wait for Halloween, just like this customer did. Now, jumping into the process of how we make this sign specifically, for this one, I did have to start by cutting a brand new stencil. The one that I did have, it tore, unfortunately. So I had to cut a brand new stencil out, and that's kind of what you've been seeing at the beginning of this video. It's a larger stencil, so it did take a little while to cut. But after we are done with the stencil, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go out to the garage. I'm going to grab the piece of wood that we're using. It's kind of a larger piece of wood. And after I measure down like the actual dimensions of the sign, I take the stencil and I put it on top of the piece of wood, and I trace the outline of the sign itself, because as you can see, this is going to be kind of a fun shaped sign. So after I get it measured out and cut down to the length, what I need to do is put this piece of wood actually underneath our scroll saw. And kind of taking that step backwards, tracing out the shape of the sign with the stencil is going to help me kind of stay on course with the scroll saw and cutting out that very specific shape, the swoops on each side, the different levels and tiers to the sign, and that half circle on top of it. And cutting the sign with the scroll saw, it can be a little challenging, especially if you're not careful, if you aren't holding on to the saw securely, and if you don't have the blade secure on the top and on the bottom of your scroll saw. That's why, little safety disclaimer here, you always make sure you wear your gloves. That's why you always make sure that you wear your goggles. I'm speaking from experience. It didn't happen this time, but I did work on a Sleepy Hollow sign a few months back where I didn't change out the blade because I was a dummy, and it actually snapped in the middle and part of it flew out and it literally hit me right in the goggles. So please make sure if you're using equipment like this that you are taking the necessary safety precautions. Luckily, no broken bits of the saw this time around. The cutting of this went off without a hitch. It does require a lot of concentration though to make sure that we're taking in those straight lines and that we're going at that half circle as accurately as we possibly can. But I don't sweat the imperfections too much when it comes to the scroll saw, and really when we're cutting out a piece of home decor in general, because these are handmade. These are coming from my garage, getting shipped out to you. These aren't being made in a warehouse. These are being made at home. And also, especially with the Sleepy Hollow sign, if you notice any lumps or imperfections in the wood itself because of the scroll saw or user error of the scroll saw, those are things that are going to be easily worked out in our next step, which is sanding. I use 3 different sanding grits for all the pieces of home decor. The first one I use is to kind of get rid of all those splintery bits and to kind of start the process of getting those little bumps and imperfections out of the wood. And then my next 2 ones are to finish up the smoothing process and making sure that it's good to go for the paint. The smoother the piece of wood, the easier the paint is to get on. And then speaking of painting the actual sign itself, now it's time to work on the base coat. A lot of the signs that we have on our small shop, they do have a very specific color for a base coat. You've probably seen them on our shop or in other videos before. Probably our more popular one is this one that I'm using right now, which is essentially taking brown paint and splotching it all over the sign and then immediately going over it with water. This achieves a very specific dark color of the wood that we're looking for, a color of wood that isn't readily available in your average hardware store. But this also helps achieve a very specific weathered and kind of exposed to the elements look. You'll see this in our Splash Mountain signs, our Jungle Cruise inspired sign, and our Jock Lindsay's Hanger Bar sign, if that's on our small shop, I can't remember. But that's kind of the whole idea, is that it's almost like these signs have been outside for many, many years, and it's seen a lot of wind, a lot of rain, and just a lot of exposure to the elements. So that's sort of what this washed brown is supposed to achieve here. And then after the base coat is done, now it's time to spray paint the piece. Some of the signs, I will say, I use a very specific stenciling brush so that we're getting a bold color here. And again, for some of the signs, I really only do the stenciling brush one time because I'm trying to achieve a specific look. But with the Sleepy Hollow sign, I use spray paint because even if it's not bold and crisp, if it is a little faded along the edges, again, that's kind of what I'm going for. This sign is designed to look like it's been sitting outside the front door of some inn in Sleepy Hollow for many, many years. So I welcome those little imperfections. And also, if I'm talking about this from a little bit of a selfish perspective, spray painting is just quicker. It's quicker, it's a little bit more within my control, but even if something doesn't go 100% right, it still works out for the better. So that's why we spray paint. And then after we spray paint, I kind of let it dry for a little bit, and then I take a clear coat and I go over the entire sign with that clear coat. This helps kind of lock in the colors of that base and of the spray paint that I use. And this also extends the shelf life of the sign. So that way, if you are somebody who is going to hang this outside, the colors are gonna be around for a while, but also if you're hanging inside your house, you can guarantee that this sign is going to be in good shape for many, many years to come. Then I let all of that sit for about 24 hours, and then I put the hanging hardware on it for a lot of our signs, really except for our Jungle Cruise sign and our welcome signs. We put a little D-ring hanger on the back. That way all you have to do is either put in a finishing nail or a command hook, whatever it is that you use to hang things in your home. You can just put it right up there. I'm trying to look over there. I think the one that I have hanging on my wall is a finishing nail because it is kind of a heavier piece. So if you are going to order this piece of home decor, I would use the D-ring personally. And then after we attach the hardware, we pack it up and it's ready for shipping off to its new Disney loving home. And that is how we make our Sleepy Hollow Inn sign that is available on our family small shop, Mickey and Mandy. To kind of close out the video, as always, make sure you subscribe over here on YouTube. That way you don't miss out on any future behind the scenes looks at how we make some of the awesome handmade products on our family small shop. Next time we do a behind the scenes look, I'm going to show you how my mom, the Mandy app and Mickey and Mandy, makes one of those awesome handmade custom bags that we have available on our shop too. And also be sure you follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads. That way you don't miss out on new product drops any current sales that we're running, and we also do post a lot about our weekly ready to ship drops over on those different social mediums as well. But as always, everybody, we thank you very much for watching, and we will see you real soon.